Hey guys, gals, and MBs, I'm here again with the Sequential Take 5. I've done a few videos on it already by this point. I've had it for just about 4 months now, and I'm going to do my not final impressions of it, because you're going to see this in a lot more videos because I just like it so much. But what my verdict is on the Take 5. Especially after having it for 4 months and practically using it at least 3 to 4 times a week and hours on end weekly. So yeah, this has surpassed to become one of my favorite synths. It's on the same level as the Novation Peak and the Trigon for me at this point. It does some things that a lot of synths on the market, digital or analog, just don't do. It does the analog thing obviously extremely well, but it has a sound and character I absolutely love. We might be discussing the TO5 being my favorite synth, one of my favorite synths. When that actually arrives, I still haven't gotten a ship date or anything for that, because it should be the same thing with a different filter, with the SEM filter. I love the SEM filter, but there's some things that this filter does that are fantastic. We're going to make a quick patch today where I really share one of the things that really set this apart for me from a lot of other synths that I own, especially analog ones. And I have sold some synths, and I'm only going to really, pay attention to synths I really like to make patches for. Out is the Hydra synth. As much as I love that thing, it was taking up way too much space as being a 49 key synth. I'm not going to bother with the Hydra synth anymore. There's plenty of videos out there with people doing better videos than I did on the thing. I still think it's an absolutely fine synth to buy, especially if it's going to be a beginner synth and you're going to get the Explorer or something. At that price point, it can't be beat for what it does. But I would say if you're saving up for something and you can swing it, the Take 5 is just so amazing. I will link in my description later down the road if I feel that the TO5 is a better synth altogether, or if it's the same idea but with a different filter. Because if it is the same idea with a different filter, you have to make that decision when I get to that point, if you like that filter versus the Prophet style filter in here. And so yeah, instead of like just talking about why I think it's great, let's actually listen to it. So yeah, first disclaimer, I obviously bought this with my own money. If you've seen my critical opinion about the absolutely absurd build quality, I mean in the bad way, of the Prophet 6 and the OB6, I don't think Sequential would ever send me a synth, but you never know. But yeah, this thing has held up at least for 4 months, using it practically 5 times a week. It has held up perfectly. None of the knobs are wobbly. Everything feels fantastic, especially for something that's $1,500 new. And on the used market, you can easily find these for $900, like $900, $950. That's if they're on the market, because the market's kind of dried up with these things because there's not that many out there. But they usually go for about $900 to $1,000 used. All right, I'm rambling about it, but yeah, I would highly recommend this because I've just had so many good sound design ideas with this thing. The later models don't have as much of a wobbly top. I know it's a little wobbly. The earlier models, it was a little more wobbly than this, but I think it's fine. It's really, the flex is right in the middle. The rest of the synth is very solid. Like I said, I've had it for 4 months now, and it's held up fantastically. As you can see, it almost looks new, and I've been using it a lot. Chassis is metal. The end caps, the only thing plastic are these end caps. It's covering a metal chassis, so these are mainly just decorative and to keep you from touching or getting cut by any of the side metal work. So yeah, metal synth, plastic, decorative, and I guess they're kind of usable in terms of keeping you safe from accidentally like hurting yourself on any of the metal working. But I don't think the metal working is all that sharp underneath. I guess it's more decorative. But that said, there's places out there that make wooden end caps if you really want to go like really posh on it or something. All right, again, too much rambling. Let's start on this patch that really sets it apart from other synths. So one of the things I really liked about the mini log, and yes, I got rid of the mini log a while ago when I got the Take 5 because this has just surpassed it. The mini log had this really cool thing where if you saturated the shit out of the filter, especially for plucked patches, it sounded like amazing. And this kind of does the same thing, and I think this does it even better. All right, we have an init patch, so to do that again, you hold down, -2 on the low split, and then you just get a standard input patch with it's one saw wave that's turned up to maximum. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get in the second oscillator. So let's just make sure both of our oscillators are turned all the way up. And we're going to turn on sync. All right, sync is on. We're going to turn the first wave. We're going to keep the first wave shape as the saw. So it's right around there where this is. We're going to turn the second wave shape to a sine. And now what we want to do is we want to take the first oscillator and we want to set it down to -2 on the main octave. See how that's dulled everything out because of the oscillator syncing we have going? And now you want to turn the pitch. The pitch is going to change the brightness a little of the oscillator. You'll hear it's very subtle. You want to turn it to around there. We'll play with the waveforms a little bit in a bit to really get it to sound fantastic. But yeah, not that amazing. You're probably saying, what the hell is going to happen here? But the filter is what's really going to set it apart. The first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and turn the filter all the way down because we're going to use the envelope to control the filter. You'll hear nothing. Let's go ahead and, well, actually, let's hear this. I'm turning the cutoff all the way up so you can hear what the amp envelope is going to do. You want to turn the amp envelope to around here. Maybe a little less, like that. All right. Filter back down. Now we're going to use the amount control here to affect the filter by the filter envelope. You want it to be like roughly around here, but we're going to have to tweak it just a little bit. Now we need to turn the decay to around here and the release to around here, and we'll get a pluck. Okay, it's very too mellow. Let's bring it up. We're going to have to play with that in a few. I mean, it's okay, right? It's a very mellow pluck sound. But here's where the magic happens. We're going to crank the hell out of the drive. We're going to turn it to around here. You don't hear much happening, but now if we turn the resonance up, we want to turn the resonance to around here. We want to turn a little bit more of the envelope. So yeah, no drive. See how that shapes that? We're like oversaturating the filter and it's just making this wonderful, like, ringy, beautiful pluck. Let's change the envelope here. So that's just amazing. Again, that's with a filter drive and a little bit of resonance. We can turn the resonance down because we don't want a quacky sound. The Prophet style filters are known to be very quacky and very brassy. And the Take 5 is no exception because it has a Prophet 5 Rev 4 style filter. And I actually, it's not just a style filter. I think it's the same damn chip. At least there's multiple modes on the new Prophet 5, but it's the second mode or whatever. You have the 1 and 2 mode, and then you have the 4 mode or something like that. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to go into the program menu, and we're going to add a little bit of, go to the section in the program menu. I've already been there, obviously, so you see it was highlighted, but it's like 13 here, where it's key to LPF frequency. So that's key track. That means that the higher we go, the more open the filter is going to be. We want to turn that to around 30 or so because we want the higher frequencies to be brighter, obviously. So we'll turn it down just so we can hear what's happening. Maybe higher, 50. Let's go up an octave. You want to get it as high as you can without hearing too much of the resonance being too brassy, and you don't want to hear any kind of sawtooth going through. So let's turn up a little more drive. Let's turn down the envelope just a slight bit. Right about there. A little more drive. Again, no drive. Because we're oversaturating that filter. Which is weird because you would think, hey, the filter is going to get harsher and nastier sounding. No. Completely the opposite. It surprised me too, but that's exactly one of the things that the Mini-Log XD does when you use the drive against the filter, especially when you use a synced patch going into that filter, or you use you just overdrive it with a square wave. All right. So, I mean, we're pretty much there. We're going to add a few things to make it even more exciting. So we're going to go into, let's go into this mod assign menu, and we're going to take a empty mod slot. So let's go to mod slot 3, and we're going to choose my favorite, which is, it should be voice spread right here. Oh, did I just pass it? I did. And then we want to attach it to panning. So let's find panning. I wish, that's the only gripe I have about this synth, that there was just like all the other Prophet style synths, well, all the other stereo, like the Prophet 6 and the OB6 and the Trigon and things like that, that there was a pan spread knob directly on here. It could be somewhere here. You could take the glide off. I mean, or you could put the overdrive in the menu. The overdrive does not sound that great on this. I don't like it. It's a digital overdrive. It's not that fantastic. But that could have been a pan knob. I guess the glide is useful, so the glide could stay. Overdrive knob, that could have been pan. Anyway, we're going to turn this way up. I'm going to turn it above 100 because we want a nice big pan spread. So let's do like 107. So we are now going to add the one of the effects that I really like, and that's the Bucket Brigade delay effect, which is an emulated Bucket Brigade delay. By default, it's already turned on, so we just need to turn on the effect. I'm going to turn the time fairly high up. You have to do this to taste, whatever you're going to play. You can also clock sync this if you're going to use the sequencer, which I'd highly recommend if you use the sequencer. All right, we're going to turn the time to around there. The knobs have already kind of been set to where I have been messing with this patch. But yeah, depth, we want it 50-50. We want the feedback around there, and it'll sound like this. So. I'm just getting carried away. God, that sounds amazing. And that's coming from an analog synth. You're going to have to tune this quite a few times, but once you tune it quite a few times using the tune in the global menu, and this has been a common complaint on the Take 5 in particular, but it's because it is an analog synth. It is. Once you build those tuning tables and it gets used to your environment, it stays unbelievably steady within the tuning. But the reason I bring that up, this is coming from an analog synth. It's not generally a sound you hear from an analog synth. I mean, I guess like an electromechanical keyboard, like a Rhodes style thing, it's kind of like a Tynes patch. But yeah, digital synth, I mean, I don't know, FM's a little too harsh for this, but if you have something like a PPG wave where you have real filters and the digital oscillators, you can kind of get some mellow sounds out of it. You could definitely get this sound out of the peak, but yeah, gorgeous. I mean, who's gonna somebody's gonna disagree. They're gonna be like, "This is the dumbest sound I've ever heard." It's, but I think it's absolutely lovely. Especially, I think it has the mystique of it coming from an actual analog instrument, and I think that's what kind of gets to me on that. Yes, I know the VCAs are technically in the digital domain, but the rest of it, the signal path, I believe the drive is completely analog to the filter as well. Well, maybe it's not, but it doesn't matter. The drive sounds fantastic, especially when we oversaturate the shit out of that filter. All right. So in a lot of the videos I did about the Take 5, I kind of dismissed the reverb. I still don't think it's a very fantastic reverb, not compared to the peak or the wave state, which those have like otherworldly levels of reverb on them, which is surprising the wave state did. And the peak makes sense. I mean, you're using an FPGA. You have all that extra processing power you could put towards DSP. But if you use this in moderation, especially on this patch, and if you use these settings, it sounds very good. So you want to turn not too much mix here. You want to turn the dampening all the way to the right. I'm not sure that's really dampening though, because if you turn it all the way to the right, it seems to change the size characteristics. And the funny thing on the TO5, this is not dampening anymore, or damping, sorry. Somebody had this whole pedantic thing about me calling it dampening versus damping, but same thing. Anyway, the damping on this here, if you turn it all the way up, it seems to it sets the size. Let's just hear that. So if I turn the decay about here, right? But I turn this down. Yeah, I mean, it could be the opposite. I would assume if you turn up damping, it's going to absorb more frequency than if you had it all the way down. If you have no damping, you should have no absorption of the high frequencies, right? But no, if you turn all the way down. Just keep getting carried away because that patch just sounds so lovely, even just with the reverb like that. Yeah, but you want the low pass filter to be right around there too. Maybe a little less decay. That's a little much. Oh, we'll add more decay. Now, if you combine that with the Bucket Brigade style delay, listen to this, all right? Yeah, that's just amazing. So you can get so much tones out of this thing for being such a deceptively simple synth, but it's not. It's extremely deep. The mod matrix is amazing, and that's why I really have taken a liking to this, to the point where the Hydra synth doesn't really need to be part of my arsenal. Yeah, this only has 5 voices, but I get along. I got along for so many years with a mini log. If you look through my previous videos with actual songs that I've made more songs with a mini log than any really sophisticated synth. Maybe I've used the peak a lot too. If you go through some of my stuff, I don't know if I've really posted that on my YouTube, but I've used the peak a lot too. That's a very sophisticated synth, but this is deceptively simple. The mini log, the reason I got rid of it after getting the Take 5 is because this had fantastic sound. I really do. A lot of people say they don't like the sound of the mini log. I did, especially if you oversaturated the filter. What really did it in for me for just not wanting it anymore is the modulation was just non-existent there. You could program in a sequence and use that as a modulation source, but that got very repetitive, and then you had to program that in, and then you lost your sequencing lane, and you had to use the sequencer and blah blah blah. But on this, you have so many modulation destinations and sources, and you can just make such lovely sounds with that. And yeah, of course you lose the digital oscillator, but you really need it with such a good sounding. The core oscillators on this, I think the Nymphus has the same core oscillators, but the way they're implemented in here is you have all the routing, so you can do some really cool shit. Before we end this video, let me go into some of the cool shit it can do. But before we disable this patch, which I already have it saved on 13, so I have the nice version of this, so I can clear it and I wouldn't mind. But one of the things you could do to this patch before you really want to use it all that much. Now, the vintage knob. The vintage knob loosens up a lot of the characteristics of the filters, and the envelopes and things like that, and the tuning characteristics. If you turn the vintage up just a little bit, let's do that. The vintage is all the way down now. Turn it all the way up. Well, let's turn it all the way up. I mean, it's still usable. The fun thing about the vintage knob is, even though it gets kind of a little hectic in the very high end, it's nothing like the slop on the Prophet 6. I mean, obviously the Prophet 6 and the OB6 eventually got the vintage knob in a firmware update, but like the slop in the Prophet 6, when you went high up on it, it was just unusably bad. You had to keep it very low. But with the vintage knob on all the modern sequential synths that have implemented it even at the highest settings. Okay, it's a little out of tune for my liking, but you turn it up to around there, especially with this patch. As compared to. Yeah, so it's extremely, yeah, oops. I turned the wrong knob, didn't I? Yeah, anyway, I'm just getting at the fact that even at the extremes, that's absolutely gorgeous, even if you go too far on it. I mean, is there really too far? I guess there is on this patch, because it gets too much of the sawtooth into the patch, and we want it to be very mellow. Yeah. All right. So fantastic. As you heard, it's just, God, such an amazing synth. Okay, so the other part, one of the things that I really like about the Trigon is the fact that it has 3 oscillators, but you can use the third oscillator in a kind of a cross mod configuration. They call it polymod, but it's like a cross mod where you have like a polyphonic. It turns into a polyphonic LFO, basically. And it sounds really cool because you can make these cascading sounds. Now, the Take 5 doesn't really have that functionality, but it does. It has a polyphonic LFO. So we don't have to have the third oscillator that we would have to waste on the trigon, for instance. I mean, the trigon, don't get me wrong, if you use all three oscillators in audio rates, it is a very good sounding synth, but it gets to another level when you go ahead and use the third oscillator on the trigon as an LFO, basically a polyphonic LFO. But look at that. We have a per voice LFO, and what does that mean? That is a polyphonic LFO. All right, so we're going to get into some of the other things that I just absolutely adore about this thing. So I just killed that patch. I promise it's right here. See? Oh, wrong patch. I guess I put it in 14. Oh, 11. Okay. Just making sure I still have it in there. That'd be funny. I made a video to show you how to make that really awesome patch, and then I lost it for myself. I didn't. All right. So we made an init patch. All right. So let's just use a saw. That's fine. Let's add some release, right? One thing you should notice, though, by default, the default patch, the cutoff isn't all the way up, so it sounds a little muffled. So it's usually... See how it's like that when you do turn it all the way up? If you do an init patch, listen, the brightness. Yeah, so just be aware of that. The filter's not all the way open in an init patch. It's like right around like here or something like that. But yeah, let's bring it down. Let's add a little resonance. Just a little. And we're going to turn it down, and what we're going to do is we're going to hear that polyphonic LFO. So this has a lot of cool shortcuts, and one of them is we have a destination button here for the LFO. And if I want to attach it to the filter, I just do this. It's turned. Now I turn the rate or the amount up. We can turn it up. All right, so let's go into the program menu now, and we're going to find it is something like, yeah, there we go, LF2 reset. So every time you press a key, what happens is the LFO resets, and then you stay in phase every time you bring a new note. If we make it out of phase, it's going to be cascading. So notice how the cutoff is changing at a different rate per note when I trigger it, because it is now not resetting the LFO. So yeah, that's very, very cool. And one of the things we can do now is let's get out of the program menu. So if you want to set a mod source of a note value, you can go and press mod source, and then we can keep pressing a button. See how it's cycling through things with the keyboard now? I'm holding down this, and we want to change note number, and we want to change the destination to the frequency of LFO2. Yep. And now we turn up the value. The higher note we go, the faster it's going to go with the LFO, and each LFO is it's its own instance. So slow here. Let's give it a little drive, huh? It just makes this beautiful cascading sound. Then you add some effects into that. Let's add the reverb to about the levels like I said in the other part to where it actually sounds decent. All right, what am I doing? We have an awesome split mode, so let's do that. Let's bring the split actually down so we get a nice bassy. Yeah, that's too much. The filter gets a little farty on the low end, doesn't it? When you have the resonance up. I know that the Prophet style filter is very divisive. I like it. I love it, I should say. I like all. It's one of those stupid cheesy things. It's like, I love all my children that I've had. No, it's like you'll like one better than the other, right? No, I'm kidding, but no, I pretty much like all analog filters in their own right. I mean, I'm sure there's a filter out there that was absolutely just fucking awful, but in general, I like the Prophet style filters. I love the Moog style ladder filters. I like whatever what is it? The Odyssey, the ARP Odyssey, that style filter. I mean, that was kind of the 12 dB one in particular, but yeah, and I love some filters, but they all have their own character, and the Prophet style filter is very quacky and on lower frequencies a little on the farty side. I'm gonna listen to this. I guess it's a little brassy, isn't it? And now if we add a turn on the Bucket Brigade style delay, we turn on clock sync, we clock sync the LFO, then we turn the rate down on the LFO. Let's turn it down to like 40. Oh, what did I do? Oh, haha. I guess it's too slow, that's what. Pull in another oscillator, turn it into a perfect fifth up. Give a little more resonance. Yeah, it's just really kind of cool, like just the cool shit you can do with that. All right, so before we end this, let's do the other thing that's very unique on the synth. And I don't know of another synth that does this. The TO5, the manual's already been printed, so I know the TO5 does this. But at least when it comes to non-modular, obviously you can do this with a modular synth. You might be able to do this with the Hydra synth if you pull the audio output into one of the CV inputs. I don't know how well that would work, but the thing we can do here is a modulation source is literally the output audio. Okay, so I made another init patch, and what we can do is we can go into source design, and we can go from here is audio out, and it's polyphonic, so we can add it to, like, I don't know, we can add it to a filter to fine, for instance. So let's see what that happens. We'll turn up this. And now we'll turn this up. I guess it's not super useful in that context. So let's do it to the octave. There we go. So now we're literally taking the audio out. We're almost doing FM without the FM control of the filter style FM, or I guess it's not filter FM, but yeah, we have the audio out affecting the octave of oscillator 2, which gives you this just... But yeah, we can route that to so many things. We can route it to the filter cutoff, for instance, so we can do cutoff. I guess that's not a big deal there because we're not getting enough out to really trigger it. I mean, let's hear it. Well, I guess it does affect it. Maybe with some drive? Resonance? Oh yeah. Change the wave shape. Sync it. Yeah, I mean, it's strange, but you can get so much like just beautiful sounds with just messing with the mod matrix, and how many like weird sources we have. I mean, that can even be like the filter out, for instance. And obviously one of the cool things, I think I brought this up in another thing, you, instead of like, okay, so on the 6 synths, so I don't know, the 6 series synths, so like the Prophet 6, the OB6, and the Trigon, there is a noise generator that you can use in the LFO. But if you use that, then you've wasted your entire LFO just on that noise generator to patch it to something. So if I wanted to pass a little bit of noise to the oscillator or something like that to make it sound very gritty, then I've wasted an entire LFO. On this, you don't waste an LFO. I'm just made another init patch. We have noise, obviously. It's polyphonic, so it can go to any polyphonic. It can go anywhere, actually, but yeah, that means that we can patch it to the oscillator 1 octave, right? Or the filter. If we go to the filter, it sounds kind of cool if I get cut off. Especially with resonance. Drive. Do the delay or the reverb again to the way I likes it. You can even like do it to the decay parameter of the reverb, I think, can't you? Well, effects time, reverb size. Oh, they do call it reverb size on there. Interesting. So maybe I'm right. Maybe the reverb, that isn't damping, that's size. Am I wrong? Yeah, because there's decay, right? There's the decay. That is a misnomer. So that is the size knob. Oh, I've never actually added that to the noise. Oh, that's interesting. Just things like that. You can add like, and I could do this for multiple things. I could add noise to just random shit on the synth, and it's just flipping amazing. I mean, I guess we could just do something. Since we're still here, let's do something stupid. Let's add that to the FX time on here. So. Oh my god. Really? Oh my god. my god, that is so cool. I've never tried that. Okay, that's just cool. All right, let's add some reverb to that. Okay, let's make sure it's all really good. That is the size parameter. Why do they call it damping? And then let's just, let's make a new one. Whoops. Turn that down a little. Well, actually, yeah. Let's add the panning again. So let's go to voice spread. And let's go to panning. Always pass it. I wish, like I said, there was just a knob because I use that so much. Let's turn it up. Holy crap, I came up with a lo-fi delay that's actually stereo. The lo-fi delay in this, or whatever the tape delays, are not stereo. The BBD delay follows the pan spread, so you get a ping pong effect. It's the only delay on this. The regular delay does have a stereo spread if you put stereo into it, but it doesn't ping pong. I mean, we can just do that. Let's go to the regular delay. See? Ooh. But that just doesn't work anyway, so let's go to the BBD. And the tape delays and stuff like that are totally mono. It collapses your stereo field. God, this video is already up to like 41 minutes. Like, nobody's gonna watch this far. I will put timestamps, but I guess there's a secret thing you can do with the noise that sounds absolutely fantastic. God, never thought about doing that. But like I said, now we can still go here and I can go back and add more noise to something else while we still have it going there because we have so many mod slots. We have plenty. So I can now add this to the oscillator 2 or 1 octave. Let's do that. Let's do one of those Prophet style sweeps, or let's turn this up. We're gonna go attack, decay, sustain all the way up, and we'll do this. Lots of resonance. I think that's enough for today. I've just went over so much shit with this synth, and as you heard, it's phenomenal. I mean, I'm very excited when I play with a synth that's super fun. That's what I'm getting at. If I don't sound super excited in a video like this, generally I'm just not. I mean, I get excited in a lot of my videos on synths, but yeah, this one in particular, just sure, there's plenty of synths that sound fantastic, but this has so much character, so many modulation options. It's technically mostly analog, and then it has these cool little modulation routings that you just can't do on most other fully analog synths. Obviously, since we have the VCAs are in the digital domain, we can route them in weird places. Like the output could be routed into like practically anything. We could have routed that output back into the delay time, for instance. Things like that. I haven't tried that. Not going to yet. We're done with this video for right now. Back to the iteration on what I want to say about the synth. The build quality, like I said, has been absolutely solid. Especially, like I said, compared to the travesty that is the OB6, at least the new ones. plenty of people come forward and said theirs were fine if they had earlier models, but most of those models, at least the desktops, were under like 2000 or something like that. And I guess the keyboard versions are built significantly better. So whatever on that. This thing has really held up for me. Like I said, been just using it. Obviously, as you can tell with some of the patches I've made, and some of the things I've found out. But today we figured out you could route noise to the delay time. That's insane. I've never known a synth that you could probably do that on the peak. Maybe I should see. The problem with the peak is if you modulate the delay time, the slew limiting on it is really weird. It just doesn't do the modulated delay thing very well. But that said, maybe I'll revisit that, and maybe I just did something wrong. But God, that delay section I thought was really good sounding to begin with, but with that and the way it handles the noise to the time. Wow. Yeah, so that's special. Yeah, you'll see more videos, obviously, with the Take 5. Again, I've recently sold a lot of synths I just don't want to make videos on anymore. So as much as I love the Hydra synth, it just wasn't doing it for me. It didn't spark joy, so out it went. I had somebody locally pick it up yesterday, so that's pretty cool. So I sold that. I'll see more wave state stuff. I still absolutely adore the wave state. That's going to be my digital synth to go to. I think as digital synths, that's probably the only one I'm going to really keep until I can maybe get an SE or a module that didn't have a port issue on the back of it. But yeah, the wave state will be coming up in videos. Hopefully the TO5 will ship sometime soon. We can see if it does similar shit that this thing can, especially with routing noise. And that SEM filter is going to be amazing. You just know it is. At least from the demos I've heard, it sounds like a close enough approximation of a SEM filter that makes me happy and think, to me, it sounds like a real SEM filter. There'll be those people that are always tell you like, well, no, you didn't buy the expensive SEM filter, so it can't be a SEM filter. But yeah, I think it sounds pretty good in the videos, especially the Redmead's recording video did on it. And yeah, for, like I said, I'm rambling again, but for digital synths, I think I'm going to stay just with wave state because it has sampling capabilities and things like that. I have a Mega Synthesis, the Sonicware Live-In one, still sitting over here that I need to make a video on. I'm still excited about that. I still take that out every once in a while and make stuff with it. I might get one of the ambient ones. What is it? The Sonicware Ambient or Zero or some stuff like that. It sounds fantastic, and especially with the pedals I have, I think that'll be a good purchase, especially given that they're so inexpensive at like $220 or $230. But yeah, so the synths that I'm going to make videos on in the future are going to be the Take 5, obviously. Hopefully the TO5, if I get one. Well, I am getting one, but whenever that shows up, so you'll see TO5 videos. You'll see Peak videos. The Peak is still up on my top list. I want to make more Trigon videos, but the Trigon's so damn expensive and just people aren't able to afford a synth like that, and I don't expect you to. So if I made a video, it would be towards an audience that just... I don't know if I want to cater to that, a higher end audience, particularly like permanently. Obviously I do, but not like every video is going to be a Trigon video, because realistically, how many people are going to buy a Trigon, right? So I kind of want to keep the Trigon as a special synth where I use it to make songs, and you'll see songs with it, but I might make some more videos on like some tutorials and things I've found out about it. The Nymphs is definitely going to show up more in videos. I am on the fence about the Typhon, to get a Typhon to like show you guys and make some songs, but it's a mono synth, and I had a Typhon, and it didn't just gel with me all that much. Maybe I'll give it another go. Yeah, so maybe I'll get another Typhon and do some stuff. If you want to see a mono synth, I'm just not really into mono synths. It is a good sounding synth, but maybe I'll do that in the future. All right, rambled long enough. This is like a 50-minute video. If you've stayed this long, thanks for watching. I should have brought up in the beginning, if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you love my content, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And I'll be back maybe this weekend. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. with another video. Maybe I'll take the Peak out and we'll have some fun with some interesting things that over the years of owning a Peak, that I've found out, and now owning another one after the flood incident. If you know one of my Peak videos, you know my original Peak got drenched in water from a flood in the apartment, and then I had to get a new one very recently. But I've started picking up again where I've left off with having a Peak for almost 2 years before that happened. So yeah, we'll explore that, and we'll explore pedals on synths again coming up. I'm not going to really get any more pedals for synths. There is that Erica Synths, I think it's Erica Synths reverb I'm kind of interested in. If you're kind of interested in watching me use that, I'm on the fence. Let me know. All right, again, thanks for watching. Bye.